Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Market Masters with myself and Dr. Kirk Elliott speaking about what's to come, specifically when it comes to the economy, more specifically when it comes to the prices of silver and gold, with a few factors that we're going to be discussing today, including Elon Musk and how he's speaking about the future of how solar power will basically take over the energy sectors of the world, how the new Samsung batteries that have a silver solid core are going to be increasing the prices of silver all around the world, and how national security plays a role in the increasing prices of silver as well when it comes to nuclear power, weaponry, and so on and so forth. So, first and foremost, Kirk, I want to say thank you for being here today.
Oh, it's so great to be with you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I'm excited to get started on these topics. I think these are very simple topics for the common person to understand because it really is one plus one equals two. This is what's going to happen. This is what's needed for it. Silver is needed for it. More demand, less supply, higher price. Very simple stuff for everybody to understand. You don't need to be an economist to understand it, but we want an economist to be able to explain it in the way that you do. So why don't we start with Elon Musk and this whole thing with the future of solar power taking over?
Yeah, so we all know that we're living in a world where the green agenda is kind of just permeating every part of our life, right? Whether it's here or in Europe or all over the world, right? It's not just a liberal talking point in America. It really is a big thing as countries are moving away from fossil fuels into whether it's wind generated power, solar power, hydropower, even nuclear power is considered clean, right? Even though when one of them blows up, it's like everything dies for the next years, right? But somehow it's clean, right? So anyways, we've heard a lot of lately of Elon Musk. He's actually a really brilliant guy, and some people love his politics, some people hate his politics. Doesn't matter. When he creates a company, he's actually one of the best strategists I think I've ever seen. He takes this vision and he implements it and gets it done. So he sees solar power as kind of like the next big thing,
Yep.
right? So globally, the photovoltaic usage of things, whether it's on his satellites for SpaceX, they all have those big rotating arms that they all use solar panels, as do all these solar farms all over the country and on people's houses, right? So, what is one of the main critical elements in a solar panel? It's silver,
Yep.
right? So projections from, Elon Musk saying this is going to take over kind of the energy space moving forward. So he's
Does,
not the
does he
only.
have a timeline for something like that? I know it's already started, but what is his vision if you know it?
Well, I don't know his exact vision per se. However, um, the economists and forecasters in the solar industry think that the demand for silver for solar, just for photovoltaic use, will use 100% of all the global mining supply every year within 20 years. So
Whoa.
100%. I mean, right now it's a lot anyways, right? But within the next 2 decades, all of the silver mined in a given year will go just to solar.
But what about everything else?
Well, this is a problem, right? So now that you're going to have competing bids, because what are the other uses of silver, right? So all electronics like circuit boards use silver. Uh, Military application and the massively growing military industrial complex is, and we've got wars and rumors of wars constantly, and you're constantly turning on the TV, seeing missiles being shot off everywhere. The batteries used in torpedoes and missiles is silver. There's silver zinc core batteries. Because they're not corrosive, they don't explode when salt water hits them, right? You can't have a missile explode early,
Yeah.
or a torpedo that's actually going through the ocean, right? So these don't take a small amount of silver. I mean, we're talking about hundreds of pounds of silver in each one of these missiles. I mean, it's a lot. And you can't reclaim that. it's not like taking an aluminum can when you're done, throwing it in the recycle bin, and you can reuse it over and over and over again.
Unless Elon Musk finds a way to do it like he did with the rockets
I
that
mean,
he into space.
he might be able to. I don't know, but the point is generally once silver is used, especially in circuit boards, right? You can't, there's too much toxic things in there that it just takes way too much time, energy, effort to actually reclaim the small amounts of silver in circuit boards. But how many things have circuit boards? Like everything on the planet, even a little squeak toy from Walmart has a circuit board in it, right? So you look at these kind of things, it's like, all right, that takes a lot of demand. Military use takes is the largest user of silver on the planet, and people don't really realize that. Well, then you look at electric vehicles and battery technology. So this is the other big one that's going to hit us soon. Sooner than the solar power explosion use of it. So Samsung, and we talked about this, Jason,
Yes.
2 months ago,
Yep.
maybe.
Yep.
So Samsung developed a solid state silver core battery for electric vehicles. The reason why I think this is going to be so absolutely massive is what EV maker on the planet isn't going to use something that can double the range of the electric vehicle from like 380 miles to over 600 miles on a charge and charge a vehicle fully instead of taking, I don't know, 15, 16 hours, takes 9 minutes. It's like, oh my word. If you don't adopt that technology, you will be out of business because other companies will, right? So again, green energy agenda, electric vehicles, don't use these nasty gas powered engines with smog and smoke and blah, blah, blah. And so the demand just for batteries for the electric vehicle market is expected to be 63% of all the global supply of silver when it's fully implemented. Well, when is that? They're supposed to be, I mean, they're purchasing inventory now. A few of the car manufacturers are for these batteries. 2027 is the first model year that they're going to use. So that's much sooner than 20 years down the road.
So
That's,
I have a couple questions here. Right
yeah.
now, before 2027, before these batteries from Samsung, right now, who or what is the biggest user of silver worldwide?
Military and aerospace.
By what percent? Do you know the number?
I don't know the exact number, but um, if there's let's list out the users of silver. It's military, it's aerospace, it's electronics, electric vehicles, and solar, or photovoltaic use. So there's five things.
If you had to estimate, I don't know if you know any sort of estimates, is it over 50%?
No, it's probably like 40% would be my guess.
Okay, so right now, on a given year, the military is using 40%
I,
of,
I
of
would say so.
silver. Let's call it even 30%, whatever.
Sure.
Okay, a quarter to 40%, whatever it is. By 2027, you're saying that 63% is going to be taken up by these batteries, which is already over 100%. And we're not even including the other 60% that's currently taking it right now. And
Yeah.
then over the next 20 years, 100% of everything that we just said is going towards solar, which is going to create, from the little that I know, a very big price bidding war and price increase for all of these things of who's going to get it.
Yeah, because it's going to be needed. So the one critical thing that we didn't bring up yet is I think the diminishing silver supplies and the diminishing stockpiles at COMEX for available manufacturing is actually a matter of national security. And why isn't the Department of Energy talking about it? Why isn't the government talking about this? Probably because they know that if the world understood how much silver is needed, they would be scared if they knew that it wasn't there, because it is needed for to win wars,
Yep.
right? In torpedoes and missiles and everything else. But now look at again, going back to the clean energy agenda and nuclear reactors, right? So every nuclear reactor, those big silos that we see, that has the cooling radioactive material in it, They use probably 100,000 ounces of silver in the silver pylons in each one of those to react to the
Wow.
to liquid in each one, in absolutely each one. And they it diminishes over time. So you ultimately have to replace them, right?
Wow.
So when you're talking about the energy of a nation, and not just here, all of them, all over the world. I mean, you've got nuclear reactors in Japan, remember Fukushima? You've got them everywhere. It's not just an American thing. They use a ton of silver. So if silver runs out, which I believe that it is going to. It's just a function of too much demand and too little mining operations. And it's not like somebody can say, well, boy, we need to provide more silver. Let's go open up a new mine. Well, that takes easily 10 years to get operational, right? So it's not like that's going to happen anytime real soon. So before any of these things happen, you're going to run out. Now, higher price. So who's
One quick question about that. Take the diamond industry, right?
yeah.
There's diamonds that you get from the ground, and now there's lab grown diamonds where they just replicate that process, and it's basically the same exact thing, just created in a different way. Is there or could there be a way to fabricate silver without the earth having to do it naturally, but by us creating it in labs?
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's kind of there's not a close alternative. I mean, you could look at platinum and palladium, they don't react the same to things, right? So I was asking a an expert in this area. It's like, so let's take nuclear reactors, for example. What if can they replace silver with something else? And the answer is sure. Ultimately, you can find anything that will ultimately react to it, but you would have to change the engineering of every single nuclear reactor that's available, that's in existence now. And it takes years to do all that. It takes years to test it. I mean, it's not going to happen, right? So we're stuck with it. So then what happens? You're going to have competing bidders who need silver to say, I've got to win this or else we've got a problem. So the nuclear industry is going to say, well, we'll pay 50,
They'll
80,
probably pay the most.
$200 an ounce for so it doesn't matter. We're just going to pass the energy cost on to the consumer anyways. And then you're going to have Samsung that says, whoa, this is going to change the world. And we are going to own the battery industry in the electric vehicle market, which is going to be huge. And they need 63% of all the global production estimated. They're going to say, we'll pay 80, 100, $200 an ounce because they've got to beat the other people because if they don't have it, they don't have a finished product.
The problem there is when it comes to those batteries, they're going to have to pass it on to the consumers, and people are more likely to pay more for energy in
Yeah.
terms of their home than they are to pay for a car.
Yeah, absolutely. Or look at solar. Okay, so here's where it starts to get weird. You could use other stuff like platinum or palladium for the solar panels, right? But why in the world, when you have to use a lot of it for those solar panels, would you want to pay something that's $1,000 an ounce versus something that's 30? It's not going to
That's
work. It's not feasible, right? So therefore, you are going to have competing interests that all need it like it's the last thing on earth, like it's oxygen, right? And so this is where we, as wise and prudent investors, can start identifying some of these trends, start to identify the supply chain disruptions, start to identify the demand dynamics of who the users are. Well, who are the owners? Well, don't let the just the big banks and the hedge funds and the Comex be the owners. You can own it and sell into that strength, right? So this is where this kind of stuff is really exciting to me
yeah.
because you don't have to be a big, massive player to generate wealth from these kind of things. You can buy silver in like $500 increments. Or you can buy $1 billion worth. Granted, you would impact the global price buying $1 billion worth of silver
Yep.
because it's not that big of a market. But the point is, it's very low barrier to entry. People can actually, well, at least with us, because we don't have like a 10 or $50,000 minimum or something crazy, $500. and start allocating into physical silver. Now, I want to make a distinction. A lot of people, and I've talked to some over the last month, who think, well, I'll just buy the silver ETF. No, it's
No,
not the same.
it's not
It's not
it.
the same. Even though their advisors are telling them, oh, I can get you into silver. It's like, that is not the same. You're not owning the physical metal. You have to own the physical metal. When you liquidate it, if you have it stored, all it is a press of a button. If you took delivery of it at home, you just ship it back to the depository, you lock in the price and get the funds wired to you, right? But because they're the ones that are going to need it. If you're buying a paper version of silver, that's not real. The reason I know that it's not real is actually, let me look really quickly at usdebtclock.org.
It's probably very high right now.
Well, so when you look at the paper to physical silver ratio, which tells you how many paper contracts are there for every 1 ounce of silver, we're looking at 380 paper contracts for every 1 ounce of silver. So that means it doesn't take very much of people requesting physical demand for the paper market to go belly up and for banks to be squeezed out of these futures contracts.
Wow.
This is why when you've got JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, HSBC, the three largest silver shorters on the planet with paper, let's just say the other side of that futures contract says, I don't want to settle in cash like we always have. I want physical delivery. Well, what if they don't have it? Because for every 1 ounce of physical silver, they have 380 ounces of fake paper silver contracts. So it doesn't take much to squeeze the banks out of profitability and have them to cover it with physical silver if people
Gotcha.
want, right? All of these dynamics added up tell me we are in the right place at the right time. And when you and I, Jason, have been shouting it from the rooftops for like a year, um, allocate into silver. And now, with some of the talk about Trump's tariffs, um, are they going to be fully implemented? Is it just going to be a sector-based tariff? The dollar is coming down in value hard. It's coming down hard. And what is gold and silver doing? They're going up in
Yes.
response to that dollar position, right?
Yeah, but
So
really, either way at this point, even if the economy goes well, I understand that when the economy is well, silver and gold don't do as well. But in this case, kind of either way, it's a good position because it's needed for the next steps of where we're going. So it really changes the landscape.
it is, and when you're in a growing economy like we are with silver, right? Low supply, high demand, prices are going up. That's going to increase the value of your positions
Yeah.
over time. If you need to sell it, it's not something that's unliquid. You need to sell it. You call my office and say, Kirk, I need to sell 200 ounces of the silver that I own. Boom. Within 20 minutes, it's sold, and we can wire you the funds in very short order. Generally
Awesome.
takes a day for it to settle, then we wire you the funds. So probably 48 hours, you've got it. In
So
an
cool.
IRA, it might take 4 days because you have paperwork to deal with in a distribution out of an IRA, but we're still talking less than a week. These are liquid assets, and this is one of the misconceptions that people have about gold and silver. It's like, what do I do when I need to sell it? Is it going to be hard? It's like, no. To me, it's like any other asset. You press a button, you liquidate it, and
That's
you
it.
wire the funds. That's it.
Can you just real quick for anybody that is interested in moving forward, reaching out to you when it comes to 401ks, IRAs, how that looks, what that looks like? We speak about this all the time, but there are always new people watching. So I want to make sure they know.
Yeah. So the first thing you would do is call us, or click the link that's at the bottom of this
Yep.
video. But our phone number is 720-605-3900. 720-605-3900. You'll talk to one of my schedulers and say, hey, I heard Kirk and Jason talking, and I've got this IRA that I want to roll out, right? So we'd go over what you've got, where it is. You fill out 15 minutes of paperwork. It's an IRA application and a transfer form. Those are e-sign documents. And then my team does the rest. We'll move the funds over from your previous custodian into the IRA custodian that we use that actually allows for physical holdings of gold and silver in your account. It's not paper, it's not a certificate. We're allocating into 100-ounce bars of silver, 10-ounce bars of silver, and they're storing it for you. This whole process takes generally a week, but it takes 15 minutes for you to fill out the paperwork because my team will do the rest. So that's the easy thing. And then once that happens, that's just where our journey together begins
Yes.
with my team and my client, because I'll always let you know moving forward when it's time to buy, sell, reallocate, get out of Dodge, reposition, do whatever needs to be done to make sure you're in the right place at the right time. Because I mean, seriously, if I needed health questions answered, I'd go to you, somebody who's an expert in it. I don't expect our clients to be experts in the gold and silver
Yes.
markets. They have bigger fish to fry. Like actually,
That's why we come to you.
yeah. So this is what we do, but it's not my money. I want everybody to know this. It's your money. What we do is we partner with you on that in the sense of I will give you all the advice that you need to make a wise decision. You always pull the trigger. That's where the partnership is, right? So you can say, Kirk, this sounds like an awesome plan. Let's run with it. Or you could say, take a long walk up a short pier. I'm not interested at all. It's like either one is fine. My goal is to get you as much knowledge, education, information as needed for you to make a wise decision. That's my role.
I love it. The best part is for anybody that's watching, if you have never connected with Dr. Kirk Elliott and his team, you can do so and book a free consultation. So you really do have nothing to lose. The purpose of this series, the purpose of this show is to inform the masses, to help you guys take the best possible actions moving forward, to position yourself in a positive way so you could take advantage of some really big opportunities that we all have right now. I would never tell you guys to do something that I have not done myself. This is something that I've done myself. My family has done themselves. We've been working with Dr. Kirk Elliott for the past few years, and it's only been a positive experience. I know many of you have over the past few years as well. And maybe if you're feeling it, you can share a comment below this video to share your experience that you had with Dr. Kirk Elliott and his team, and really encourage others to move forward and go into that free consultation aspect so they can feel it for themselves. Worst case, you move on. Best case, you learn something, you keep moving forward, and you take an advantage of an opportunity at hand. So like Kirk said, there is a link in the description below this video if you do want to book a free consultation. And Kirk, if you can give that number one more time for people who want to call in.
Sure, it's 720-605-3900.
Thank you very much. Make sure to let them know that you saw this interview, that you want to move forward with that free consultation, and ask any and all questions that you have before moving forward, because that's how we all operate. Dr. Kirk Elliott, I want to say thank you very much for being here again, and I look forward to our next segment together.
Subscribe.